Like when you're going into the garden, you go through the garden gate and then you don't see the web and you all these
get
itching
covered
on your face.
Yeah.
No, because then I'm thinking, is the spider actually there?
Is it on
and then
me?
I'm like, Hello, welcome to my studio and welcome to another edition of Art Success with me, Adelaide Damoah. Today's interview is with artist and founder of the BBFA collective, Enam Gbewonyo. Enam graduated from Bradford College of Art and Design in 2001 as a knitted textile designer. After graduation, Enam was brave enough to travel all the way to New York and got herself a job in a fashion house as a women's knitwear designer. Enam spent 6 years in New York, and during that time she actually realised that her true love was making art, so she then decided to travel back to the UK and pursue her dream of being a full-time artist. Enam's work merges the practices of knitting, embroidery and wirework with surface pattern painting. Enam says that her work is very inspired by the natural world, and she has what she describes as a weird obsession with spider webs, and just saying that word makes me cringe because anyone who knows me knows I do not like spiders. But I'm glad that Enam has this obsession, even though it makes me cringe, because what actually comes out is some really truly stunning work. Enam actually has a full-time 9-to-5 job, but she still manages to find the time during evenings and weekends to make her work, as well as to work on this BBFA collective, of which I'm a proud member. Enam founded the BBFA, or Black British Female Artist Collective. If you want some more information about us, then please do click the link in the description bar below. Now, as I'm sure you can appreciate, Enam is one of the busiest people that I know. However, she still managed to find the time in her busy schedule to sit with me and have an interview about art success. So if you'd like to know more, please continue to watch the video. You work to supplement your practice?
Yes.
Do you have to work a lot, and how much time do you get to dedicate to your work?
I do. So I work full-time, 9 to 5, which means that I really only spend kind of my weekends and my evenings dedicated to my art. And obviously I have a life, so, you know, I do like to socialise, and obviously you like to get out to other exhibitions and network and see what else is out there in the art world as well. So it does mean that I don't have that much time to actually focus on my work. So what tends to happen is that I will work generally around any exhibitions or art fairs that I'm doing. That's when you'll see me really kind of focusing on the work.
What is it that drives you to keep on producing the work and working towards that dream of going full-time?
I think the simple thing is that art is my passion, and if I didn't do it, there would be such a big gaping hole in my life and I wouldn't know what it is, and I wouldn't be happy just doing what I do. Yes, the job that I do, you know, I'm good at it and it's rewarding in its own ways, but there's nothing like being in my studio and creating. Like, one of the last exhibitions I did really took me out of my comfort zone because I had to paint a 10 by 10 foot canvas for an installation, and at first I just thought, this is such a challenge, how am I going to do it? We had a really limited space of time as well, and I was here in the studio working like all hours, had to take time off work, you know, here from 7 in the morning till 11 at night, and I was just so like excited and motivated, and even when you're tired and you want to sleep, I'm gonna keep on going, and then when I finished it, just that euphoria of, one, that I was actually able to do it, and two, I was actually really proud of what I'd been able to accomplish and thought that it looked amazing, and the whole thing, once we got it up, it was beautiful, and we got so much, you know, good feedback from people, and I was like, this is why I do what I do, because more so it's about, you know, your audience and what they get from it, and, you know, you have your own story to tell through your artwork, but for them, you know, it invokes so many different things and emotions for them as well. And I think that's all that's important in life, is when you do something that you're passionate about and can bring joy to others, and that's what art is for me. So I'm always going to do it in some way, shape or form.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. What was that project?
So basically myself and one of the other artists in the BBFA collective, which I'm sure we'll talk about a bit later, Ontiveros, we embarked on a collaborative project 2 years ago now called Frida and Me, because like you, we're very much inspired by Frida Kahlo, and it's basically looking at identity and the fact that as British Africans, we feel quite displaced because we're not British and we're not African. And so we did an installation project, basically where I do a kind of huge mural in the background, and then we stylize a set and then have a model come in and dress her in traditional African cloth, and then take some photography and do like a photo shoot basically. And so the final image is actually the photography more so than the kind of live installation. And so we did the second in that series in Toronto for the Artist Project Art Fair. And like I said, it was such an amazing experience to be able to do something on that scale in like a really big kind of international space. It was fantastic, and we just got such great feedback from everyone, and everyone kind of identified with, you know, the story we're trying to tell as well. Hopefully we'll be able to publish the final images from that quite soon, so keep an eye out for that.
So going back to you showing in Toronto, how did you manage to get that?
Randomly, I must have signed up to the newsletter, not realising that this was something based in Canada, and then got a newsletter saying that they had this art fair coming up. They basically had a juried prize where you would get this free space to do an installation. So I contacted her and I was like, oh, this looks really good, let's go for it. She was like, you do realise this is in Toronto? I was like, oh, okay. But I thought, you know what, let's just go for it, you never know. Yeah. At least try and see what happens. So we applied back in October of last year and didn't hear anything. And then I think it was like middle of January, I got an email, and I remember it because I was on my way home from work on the bus, and I'm reading it, I'm like, wait, what? Because it was the middle of February, so I'm like, so we've, wait, 4 weeks from now? Wait, they've given us what? And so I called on him and I was like, oh my gosh, I just got this email, we've got this space, what do we do? It's in 4 weeks and we've got 10 by 10 feet, and what's going on? And, you know, after I'd calmed down and processed and everything, we had a chat and we're like, you know what, let's just go for it. This is an amazing opportunity. The fact that they've actually given us, you know, this opportunity, they, you know, really loved our work, then we've just got to do it. And we didn't know how we were going to make it happen, because 4 weeks it was just ridiculous. Flights, accommodation, you know, there's so many different facets of how to make it work. But it all just came together really seamlessly. And every time, like, you know, we hit another of those milestones, was just like, this is meant to happen, because it's just all coming together so easily. And it just made us realise, you know, if you put your mind to something, there's nothing that you can't do.
And this is all independent, you're not represented by a gallery?
Not represented by a gallery, no. And I think in some ways it's good, because you then have the freedom to choose the things that you want to do. Sometimes with galleries, they do have a bit more say in, you know, the kinds of things that you align yourself to. And so for the moment, you know, I'm just enjoying being able to choose, you know, what I want to do, and, you know, if they like my work and want to, you know, have me as part of the fair or the exhibition, then definitely, yeah, go for it.
And when did you know that you wanted to be an artist?
I think I've always known. I'm just lucky in that I've always just had this innate passion for drawing, and I think both my parents are quite artistic. My dad was an architect and a quantity surveyor, and my mum was always good at drawing. She never went that route, but she always kind of used to say she really loved drawing, because my brothers as well are really talented artists. And I think I was just lucky in that, because I'm the last born, I kind of got away with doing what I wanted to do. You know, my parents had much more of a say in what my brothers did. And also I'm very stubborn like my dad, and so no matter what they said, I was going to do what I wanted to do. So, and I think they could just tell, because I remember at school with my art, I'd spend ages and I'd be up late, like especially with my GCSEs, I'd be up till 2 on the floor, like bent over doing my work. And so I think my mum was just resigned to the fact that, oh, this child, she's going to do what she wants. I remember there was one time she tried to sit me down, and she was just like, oh, I think I'm really going to go forward with art and do it at college. And she was just like, well, are you going to be a painter? How are you going to make money? I was just like, well, you know, there's so many other things you can do as an artist. You know, I think for them, it's very much art, painting doesn't make money. Whereas, you know, I could have gone into graphic design, I could have gone into car design, you know, there's so many different things, animation. And I think that's one thing within our community that, especially people of a certain generation, need to realise, that there's so much to the arts. And it's really rewarding. And there's just this kind of emotional connection that you have with art as well. It can stir so many things in you and can make people so happy, and it's a therapy in a way. Because even for me, when I'm stressed, if I'm just sat painting, I just become so much more relaxed. And so there's so many, you know, different facets to the arts that I think is really beneficial for the mind and the soul. So But yeah, for African parents especially, they don't care about all that mind, soul, body. It's all about money.
Yep.
How are you going to support yourself and your family? So, but I think for my mum especially, it really sunk in when she came to my final year show at university, and she was just like, I never forget, she just said, okay, I totally get it now. And that for me was just, it was so emotional, because I think for any child, you just want to make your parents proud.
Yep.
And when they're not, they're not supportive in a sense of what you choose as your career, it can become a huge battlefield. So that moment for me just said it all, and ever since she has just been so supportive and comes to my shows and stuff, and it's amazing, it's really good.
Can you remember when you sold your first piece?
Oh gosh, when did I sell my first piece? Actually, it was a commission, so I hadn't sold any work, and I was just like, maybe my parents are right. And then through my job, actually, I got a commission, and then got another one through my job as well. And I was like, oh, actually, and they were actually quite good commissions as well, quite lucrative ones for me. And I thought, okay, this could work. So that was, when was that? That was 2 years ago now. Yeah. And so if you think I'd been exhibiting for almost 6 years, and it wasn't until 2 years ago that I actually made any money from it. So. And that's why you have to think, you have to do it because you're passionate about it. And I mean, I'm lucky enough that I do have a job to support me and fund it. And I think it is just about building that platform and building your network to the point where you have those clients that when you've got new work to show, they're going to come and support, and if they like your work, they're going to continue investing in it. So yeah, it's a difficult process, but it's, when you do sell that first piece, there's nothing like it, there's no feeling like it. And I remember that because it was a commission, the person that I was doing it for didn't know it was a surprise gift, and so when they received it, just to this day, they're always like, oh, you're painting, and they keep sending me pictures. They even invited me around to their home to take a look at it as well. So, and then the second one after that, I got a beautiful card from the woman that commissioned me. It was a gift for her husband. And she was just like, we're just so excited when we received it. We're so excited to give it to him, because it was his Christmas present. She's like, I've never been able to give him something that meant so much. And that's what you do it for, that's what you do for more than anything. I mean, sometimes it is difficult when you build a relationship with your work. It's difficult to part with it as well, but you know that it's a business as well. So, and it's going to bring joy to someone else. So, yeah.
And was that through a work colleague who?
Yeah, basically, because it's one of those, I've always been, I don't know why, I don't like kind of talking about my, second life at work, and I don't even know how it came about. I think I mentioned it to someone, and then next thing you know, like, everyone say, oh, you're an artist, da-da-da-da. And then, oh, have you got a website? So I sent them the website, and then, everyone's kind of talking about it. They even got me to talk about it on a video for like this internal staff like awards thing.
Oh, wow.
So, and ever since then they've been so supportive, which is really helpful, because there's so many times where I've had to take time off work for an exhibition or to do an interview, and they're just really supportive and understand that, yes, I do this job 9 to 5, but art is my real passion. So whatever they can do to support that, they will, which I think I'm really lucky in that, because there's not many companies that would be as supportive, and I've even had them come to all my shows, and so it's really good, because it's kind of like an extension of my family now, because they all really kind of root for me.
And what is it that you do again? What's your job?
So I'm an executive assistant at a medical regulator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so very different to
Completely.
yeah.
Interesting. What would you say has been your biggest challenge to date as an artist?
I think the biggest challenge for me is just finding the time to commit to it. Like I said, because of the full-time job, it can be really difficult, and there are times when, because there's so many different things that go into being an artist, especially in the modern world. So not only do you have to create your art, but you've got to market yourself, you have to keep your website kind of up and running and keep it loaded with new images and new content. There's a whole social media aspect. There's so many different facets to it. So there are times when I haven't been in the studio for weeks, but I have just been continuously doing things on, social media and marketing, and just getting out there and networking and trying to, meet people. It's tiring. It's full on. And that's why, as I keep saying, that you have to have the passion for it, because there are those times, I'm human, where I'm just like, you know, should I just work as a, you know, as an EA full time, and you know, but I know that I just wouldn't be happy. So, and you get those moments like with the fair in Toronto and with the AACDD festival, and you know, when someone buys your work, where it just gives you that motivation to say, yeah, this is why I do it, you know, this is why I do it. And you know, what would life be like without that outlet? I can't even begin to imagine.
Yeah.
So but yeah, time is definitely the difficult thing.
As a minority female, do you feel that there are any obvious prejudices in the art world, and how have you overcome them, if so?
So I think there's always that kind of undercurrent. For one, I think the art of the diaspora doesn't really have a place in the UK. So at the moment there is a huge interest in African art, and that's art specifically from the continent. So there's a lot of opportunities from artists from all over Africa, but for artists of the diaspora, there just doesn't seem to be much inclusion, much platform. They're just not thought about at all, which can be very difficult, because you know, we've been brought up here and we've gone to the kind of art institutions here in the UK, and you know, come out of that like our contemporaries, trying to make something of ourselves, and you find that there isn't, you know, much out there. And so you start thinking, how do I, you know, create a platform for myself? How do I get those same opportunities? And I know for myself, there's been exhibitions and art fairs that I've applied for and I haven't got in, and haven't had any specific reason why, or just haven't had a response whatsoever. And with things like that, unfortunately, the first thing I think is, oh, is it because I'm black that I haven't, you know, been offered the opportunity? And it's sad, but it's a reality. You know, being a person of colour, it's one of those things that is always going to be, you know, a part of your life, and it is difficult, but you soldier on because you have a commitment to what you do and you have the confidence in yourself. You have to, I think, to be an artist, because you get so many rejections anyway, and it's just, you know, navigating the art world can be really difficult. But I think that at the moment there just seems to be a real renaissance, especially in the UK, and there's so many artists that are getting out there and, you know, speaking and talking about their frustrations, and so it's making it more evident, as I think because no one says it, people just don't realise, and so that's why we have to continually speak up. And for one, that's the reason that I had decided that I was tired of just voicing my frustrations, you know, talking to others and saying, oh, I'm so fed up of it, and to try and do something about it. And so I started the BBFA collective. And actually, having done that, I found that, I'm hoping you found the same, that the response actually has been really positive from people of, you know, all races and ethnicities, and just saying, you know, it's so needed, and, you know, and so I think breaking down those barriers, the only way we can do that is when we come together collectively. And I think having something like this collective, and you know, there's a lot of other organisations that are doing the same thing at the moment, it's going to make it a lot easier for the generations coming up after us. Hopefully, I think we're turning a corner, and I think the main thing is just us owning our art and making sure that we are very vocal about the fact that there aren't those opportunities, so people realise that and can start to think about that and realise that, you know, there's so much talent here in the UK. And we need that support as well, you know, so.
What would you say has been your biggest success to date as an artist, and how did you go about achieving it?
Wow, it's funny actually, when you say my biggest success, it would still, for me, it would be my final year show at university. Because I think I had this idea, it was basically creating wedding dresses, and you know, you start out with something, you just think, how am I going to do this? And the idea was to make it quite similar to like our traditional African wraps, where you know, find a piece of cloth in the morning, you just wrap it around yourself or tie it around your back kind of thing. And I think just because from my idea at the beginning of the year to what it became, it was just, I grew so much within that year and really experimented and came out with a funnier show that it really amazed me that I was actually able to achieve it. And I think also because, like I said, it was that moment when my mum really kind of realised why I do what I do, that it's always had that kind of, that emotional connection for me that I'll never forget. So to this day, I just think that's probably one of the most, you know, because that's when I realised that, yeah, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. In some way, shape or form, I just have to create things that, you know, make me smile and make others smile and make them question, you know, things. So yeah. It's very mushy, but yeah.
No, it's nice. But I would have thrown in, if I may,
Yes,
the setting up of the BBFA collective. I think that is a pretty
you know what?
major milestone for you.
Yeah, no,
And
that's true.
and if it goes the way that I think it's going to go, that's going to solidify our place in history.
Yeah, no, that
in the
is
history
true.
of British art. So
That
that
is
like
true.
looking forward in the future.
Oh, thank you.
I think that's
Yeah.
quite a significant milestone for you.
Hopefully. I mean, I've got, you know, big plans for, you know, for the collective, and I really hope it does become something long lasting. So, you know, every little milestone that we, you know, kind of hit, I'm just like, okay, we're getting there little by little, and obviously it will take time, but yeah, hopefully it will become something really big. Yeah.
I think it will. Okay, what do you think success in the art world looks like as your personal definition of success for yourself versus the definition of success within the art world?
I think personally, success will be me not having a 9-to-5, me having a bigger studio, me having those opportunities where I can really make a difference. So I think I touched on it before. I think art is something that can really be used as a tool, I guess, to fight some of the injustices that there are in the world. And for one, that's why Frida is one of my biggest inspirations, because, you know, just through her art and her activism, she did so much for female artists, for her Mexican culture, for her heritage, for her people, and especially as a black artist, especially with everything that's going on right now, it really hits home how what you do can have such an impact. And you think of so many artists like Basquiat, and they, you know, Chris O'Feely, there's so much that goes into their work that talks about our experience as black people, and the more we talk about it, the more people will realise what we have to deal with on a daily basis that, you know, for a white person you just don't think of, and until that story is told more and more and more, to the point where people realise that, okay, they're not over exaggerating, because you do get that kind of reaction a lot of the time, that this is life for a black person or a person of colour. That's when we can start to make those changes as a whole society for the better of all of us. And so what I'd hope is that I'd be able to be in a space where I have that luxury to do the kind of art that tells that story and can help, you know, in some way. That to me would be success. Yeah. As opposed to the art world and what they deem as success, I guess, you know, if you're talking out as a business, it is about, you know, making that money and having those specific figures, and, you know, having those huge commissions, and getting your solo shows in, you know, the big galleries. And yes, that's nice, and of course any artist wants that kind of success, but I think more so than a lot of other vocations, we really have the tools to affect change, because art speaks to people in such a different way to anything else, like music. I think, like I said, being able to have the opportunity to really express that through my art would just be amazing.
Yeah. How important is getting validation from the art establishment to you?
I think as I've gotten older, I've realised that sadly, I don't think the mainstream art world will ever be a space that can truly understand the kind of work that I do and the kind of story I'm trying to tell. And I think for me, what I'd like to promote more is our communities getting more involved in the arts, and because, you know, the art I create is for them. You know, you look at my work and it doesn't scream, you know, activism or anything, but the themes behind the work that I do definitely has a story, and definitely touching on, you know, some of the issues that are inherent in our communities, and just personal things that have affected me that I know affect my, you know, my contemporaries. And so for me, I think it's more about us owning our own art spaces, investing in art, and just being part of the discussion more, because there is always going to be that divide. Unfortunately, that's the reality of the world. And so it's up to us really to kind of get more involved. And I think it's happening. It is happening. You know, I see a lot of art spaces in Nigeria that are black owned, which is amazing, and I want that to happen more here, and, you know, across the rest of Africa as well. So and then when we get, you know, people investing in it as well, and realizing that, you know, art is very accessible, I think it will really make a change in, I think, attitudes towards black artists specifically, and the fact that art is for everyone as well.
What year did you graduate again?
2001.
2001.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I am that old.
Oh, sorry. So, if you could go back to 2001 and talk to Enam of 2001,
yeah,
as she's just coming out of art school,
yeah,
what advice would you give her?
Oh gosh, it's difficult, because, you know, you always think, because I worked in the fashion industry for so long, and I feel like maybe I'd be in a different place if I'd just gone straight into an art career. But in having said that, I think everything that I've done to this point has shaped me into who I am, and so the art that I create comes from those experiences. So it's a difficult, I think it would be more just perseverance, you know, don't worry, because I think even at this stage, because of my age, I just think, when is it going to happen? But I think the one thing I'd just say to her is enjoy the ride, because I think, especially when I was younger, with the kind of upbringing I had, it was always about, oh, I've got to do well, I've got to do well, I've got to do well, and not just taking time to enjoy the journey. And so there are a lot of things that I feel like if I just kind of taken a step back and just realised I wouldn't have put so much pressure on myself. So I think, yeah, that's probably the main thing I think would be just enjoy the journey, yeah.
What would you say to a young lady now who you were giving advice to about just coming out of art school and going into an art career?
I would say don't lose hope. Reach out to people. Don't be afraid or ashamed to reach out to people for help, because there are so many out there that are willing to. I think one of the key things is to have self-confidence, because the only way you can really sell your work is if you are confident in yourself and what you do, and just trust and believe in yourself that if you are determined and you've got the talent, it will happen. You've just got to keep at it, and don't get disheartened, because just naturally you will get a lot of knockbacks, but that doesn't mean to say that your work isn't good, or, you know, it's just a case of sometimes people are looking for different things. So it's more about just trying to find the right spaces for your kind of work. I think that's the most important thing, because once you get that right, you'll find that things will start coming together. So yeah, that, self-confidence, perseverance, determination, all those good things.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome back. Thanks for joining me for that edition of Art Success with Enam Gbewonyo. If you would like to learn more about Enam, please do click the link below to her website. If you would like to learn more about the BBFA, there is a link to our website down below. And obviously, as I said, this is the very first interview in a series of interviews with the BBFA Collective. So please do stay tuned to watch the rest of those interviews. And of course, if you subscribe, then you won't miss any. Another benefit of subscribing is that I've got a number of interviews coming up with some amazing artists from all levels of experience, from those starting out to those who are at the pinnacle of their career. And they have some excellent advice for up-and-coming artists, so please do stay tuned. Once again, thanks very much for joining me, and until next time, take care. Bye.